Welcome to the Patriotic Podcast.
Can't help it.
Pretty jammable. What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
How's it going?
Everything's good, dude. Apparently the world's getting back in order. Oh, no, wait.
Yeah.
It's deeper into the pit of hell than we were last time.
Yeah, every time we come on, there's like a new world event that, we do want to get into some of the cool shit we're doing around the community, but there's a lot to talk about.
And I have several guests lined up too, by the way. I have actually talked to, Dave King, 2nd Ranger Battalion.
Yeah.
He's going to come on. He's a local firefighter here in Sacramento now, and he's real deep into jiu-jitsu. So he has a lot of stuff he wants to talk about. And then Boone Cutler, going to get him on. He's a PSYOPs guy, and he was an infantryman in the Army and then became PSYOPs. But he's written several books, and he talks a lot about fifth-generation warfare and just a lot of stuff that's current that would be, I think, invaluable to our listeners. So.
Yeah, our current generation warfare, does that include dumping fuel on airborne drones?
That's a valid question. So Russia dumped fuel on our drone, on our Reaper, and it's another step towards direct conflict with Russia, right? So far it's been like passive aggressive, or by proxy. Even us just funding Ukraine. So I got some friends in the intelligence community, and some of them are like, we have several things that indicate, like, for example, the Nord Stream 2 said that it's likely that Putin bombed it himself to create some of this chaos and to get people to not like the U.S. And I'm like, people already don't like us. I don't think they understand. We don't really give a shit about that too much.
Where have I heard a theory like that before? Jesus.
Yeah. So, we got all this. And then, I'll tell you what, part of what Boone talks about in his book, Fifth Generation Warfare, so we definitely got to get him on. I'll talk with him. We'll get him set up, get it in place. But he talks about the banking industry and how they would use that to control us. And essentially what they would do is collapse the banking industry so that we were forced to do some sort of, cryptocurrency or digital currency. I don't know. I think we're going to go back to pirate days, backed by gold, and we'll see.
Yeah, so for those of you that are under a rock, the second biggest banking failure in U.S. history occurred on Friday last week.
Yep. It's
the biggest failure. It's second only to Washington Mutual's failure in 2008. They had $200 billion some odd dollars in deposits, and less than 3% of them were insured.
Because they're a big tech startup bank.
Yeah. So what's unique about this bank? This isn't like your normal or your typical like investment or venture capital institution per se. So this bank was unique in that basically if you were in Silicon Valley and you were developing something and you weren't banking through Silicon, they'd look at you like through SVB, they would kind of look at you like side eye you a little bit because they'd be like, why aren't you banking with this institution that facilitates us spending so much money? Because you have to understand too, is that the firms that use this bank spend money faster than like you can even possibly calculate. And so they also took pre-IPO stock as collateral. So it's like basically like taking thin air for collateral because the bank doesn't know whether or not this company is going to IPO well.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. So, I mean, they were playing a high risk game. Now, I can
but
tell
how
you,
high risk? Because I'll tell you this, I think it was Quantitative Quiver, one of those guys, they posted that the president of the bank sold shares the day before or whatever.
Made like $4 million a week before his bank collapsed.
Yeah.
The CFO, one of their board, like their C-level employees was the CFO of Lehman Brothers when it collapsed.
Oh.
So it's like that guy's resume is rough, dude. Like, where'd you work before that? Fucking Enron. Like it's wild that it's the same characters. I also thought, I was talking to my cousin about this. We're both in from a mortgage background. And so we've studied the financial crisis of 2008 quite a bit. And I remember thinking back then, even before I was really even into following the financial markets, I remember thinking, I'll never see this again in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And then I saw the stock market, what it did, and during COVID. And once again, I was like, I will never see this again in my lifetime. Now we're seeing the second biggest failure on a bank. And I almost thought about that. I almost thought that again. I'll never see this again in my lifetime. And then I caught myself. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? You've seen it a couple of times now.
Yeah.
It's the same people doing the same shit. Now, talking to Jewel about it, we're both from a mortgage background. Dodd-Frank, the Dodd-Frank Act was passed in 2015, and it basically it made mortgage especially was a wild west prior to Dodd-Frank. Yeah. You could literally make money out of thin air.
Yeah.
Dodd-Frank kind of made lending a little bit more prohibitive. It certainly made loan officers' jobs a pain in the ass compared to what it had been before.
Right.
And so
they had to verify everything, right? And had to meet like whatever matrix that they said you could afford this shit.
It's not even necessarily the verification, because we view that as a necessary evil. Any good loan officer does.
Yeah.
They don't want to make a bad loan. They don't want to put somebody in a position 5 years from now where they're getting kicked out on the street.
Yeah.
What it did do though was add in stupid shit like these waiting periods. So if you're financing a property, you're using a mortgage, the quickest you can legally close it is 10 days. Even if you come with everything already done, they will make you wait out these waiting periods. It's stupid shit like that that loan officers hate about Dodd-Frank. So when Donald Trump comes into office and he's talking about rolling back Dodd-Frank, loan officers were like, fuck yeah, let's roll back Dodd-Frank. They didn't change. None of the rollbacks affected the boots on the ground people, like the loan officers out there that are dealing with Dodd-Frank. Yeah, it didn't change anything for us. What it did do was it greatly reduced the reporting requirements for companies like SVB, where I think prior to this, they had to report if they had like over 50 billion in assets under management or something like that. And they increased it to 250 billion. So because this bank only held like $210 billion in assets, they didn't have to report the same level of scrutiny as JP Morgan. All those bigger companies. So,
and I've heard a lot of people are jumping to JP Morgan because,
well, shit, man. I mean, JP Morgan doesn't have great press right now either, because they have the whole Epstein thing going on. They have a tremendous amount of debt. And that's kind of like some of the layers are being peeled back on what kind of liability and risk these banks are taking. Now, SVB, they had $21 billion in bonds. It's not a very old bank. They're the 16th biggest bank in the United States. They had a $21 billion bond portfolio, a majority of which they bought either during or post pandemic, when interest rates were virtually zero. Right now, interest rates are sky high. And so they basically had to sell a $21 billion bond portfolio. That's like me saying, hey, you can buy this investment product right now from somebody else, brand new, and you will get paid $100 a month, or you can buy mine and you'll get paid $50. Who's going to fucking buy the one that pays them $50? Nobody. So they're just hemorrhaging money. Yeah. Turns out Goldman Sachs is the one who bought that bond portfolio. So now they're taking that on. But it was a really weird chain of events. And it honestly, it can kind of be traced back to one single Twitter thread. I believe is the catalyst to all of this. So there's this dude that writes a VC newsletter, a venture capital newsletter. And the week before the run on SVB, he sends out this newsletter and he's like, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but this could possibly happen. Now, somebody with a lot of exposure to that crowd, he posted and he said, look, every venture capitalist I know reads this newsletter. And so he was like, this very well could have, because like
pushed it to
one person goes, all right, fuck it. That's the straw on the camel's back. That's what I needed to be convinced to pull my money from SVB. I'm pulling out, $20 billion. And then
Pullout game just got strong.
a colleague hears about it and they pull out, and then somebody else pulls out. And now SVB's like, fuck, we need to somehow find a way to make these withdrawals. Our most liquid thing we have is this $21 billion bond portfolio that is hemorrhaging money.
Yeah.
So they sell that at a massive loss, just try and inject some liquidity into their whole operation. And it ultimately failed. And there's been 2 or 3 other banks that have failed right along with them, Silvergate and one other. You have
and there's some controversy with, at least with Silicon Valley Bank, in that there's talk that the reason Governor Newsom asked, because now all these people, normally, like you said, it's federally backed for $250,000, right? Yeah. But they're going to, everyone who had more money, and there's lots of them in this bank in particular, who had more than $250,000, they're going to get recouped by money that the banks pay into this fund, right? But they said that Gavin Newsom potentially had not only like some winery and investment stuff there, but potentially even a personal bank account there, and that was one of his reasons for fighting for federal help or whatever to make sure that he got his money back.
A lot of these super, super rich VCs had personal mortgages and all that shit with this bank. So it'll be interesting. When you fuck over rich people, dude, that's when heads really roll.
Well, because you're talking about powerful people usually. You know, those are the ones who got the money. They got power.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about all this money, it actually made me, so this past week I saw some news about the Mormon bank is falling out of favor. In fact, like atheists and Catholic Church and all these other denominations are more popular. And they said part of that is because, well, they seem shady, that the Mormon Church, the Church of Latter-day Saints, of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, has been hiding somewhere around in tens of billions of dollars, like
you don't say.
45 billions of dollars. Yeah. Desert. They have these shell companies set up so that they can funnel all this money with their tax. They're a nonprofit, right? Churches are nonprofits, so they don't have to pay any money, like, or show any taxes or whatever. And as far as like the collection plate, well, who's keeping track of that? I mean, who knows what these people, and they tithe, right? Mormons tithe. So they want 10% of whatever you earn. You got to give that. They want you to give that to the church. And so there's a lot of money that these guys are hiding, and the commoner who's poor is like, what the hell is this?
How have we not started taxing churches yet? Look, I understand
we didn't do shit to the Catholic Church when they were raping little boys. So they're fucking tax when it comes to money, they'll take money. You know what I mean? Like, hey, give me some money and I won't. In this instance, they had to pay $5 million. But when you talk about $44 billion that potentially they're hiding, $5 million is like, you know what? This is hush money. This is the cost of doing business.
That's in Joel Osteen's checking account, dude.
Yeah. And by the way, it's raining outside. Fucking, I don't care. You're not coming in here with your muddy feet in my house.
I can't believe that we don't tax churches yet. It's insane. It's the most, like, do you want to start a church? Let's start a church.
You don't want me to do that.
This is our weekly sermon.
Do you know? Listen, I've read the Bible more than once. I would be really good at being like, I suppose they're like false prophet. Not really false prophet, but I would go there. I could be Joel Osteen is what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I'm charismatic. I know the Bible. I can say what I want to people to manipulate them into doing the right thing and all this other shit. But at the end of the day, I'm not for that. And I don't need God to talk to me to help me. I'm going to have people do the right thing by leading by example, showing my kids what right looks like. Or
perhaps because they want to, not because they're scared.
Yeah.
Of Sky Daddy. Sky Daddy's going to smack you.
Well, yeah. So they're in deep trouble, man. We got to look at this. So we've only been going for a few minutes. We haven't even mentioned to the people that we're wearing this awesome swag we got going on, right? Look at that. Patriotic Podcast swag, baby.
Let's go. Get it on the website.
Yeah. So, instead we just jump right into fucking Russia's dumping fuel on our, surveillance equipment.
Yeah.
And we let theirs through China fly through the entire country before we shot it down. Like, why do they do this to us? What's going on?
It's rude.
Yeah, man. We're kind of a reciprocating.
It's just rude diplomacy.
Yeah. Just foreign relations gone to shit now.
Yeah.
What else we got going on? I have another person that her name is Sharon, and I got to tell you, she runs a local business. In fact, she ran several, and luckily she got out in most of those right before COVID hit, like literally right before, kind of lucked out on that timing. But she asked me, where is the American worker? Where have they gone? And so that's going to be an episode. We're going to talk about, like, why is it so hard for business owners to find not even just good workers, people who want to work, who will show up to work, who or apply for jobs that are open, right? Instead, you have some that stay vacant for a long time. And maybe some of that could be attributed to culture, and maybe they don't have a good working environment or something like that if a place has a bad reputation. But when you're talking people who are struggling, they'll take jobs, right? People who are, it was back in the 90s, it was like, look at all these single moms that we created, and they're working 3-4 jobs, right? It's crazy, but people aren't doing that now. Why? How did that happen? How did things change where people don't really have the drive that they used to have?
I'm tired of hearing people saying that their companies are hiring faster than they can, because no, they're fucking not. No, they're not.
Mm-mm.
I mean, like the California Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD.
Yeah.
They send me contact letters because they want people that have been experienced in the industry. They send me contact letters 5 days a week, and I'll apply to them, and they won't fucking call me for 3 months. It's like, no, you're not.
Yeah,
you're not hiring faster than you can.
So, with all this negative stuff in the world, I'll say this: I am so grateful that we have Warfighter Overwatch for a number of reasons, but sometimes you need leaders to call out the bullshit, right? To out the people who are screwing things over, or who were in charge and made bad decisions. And, we posted a video on our social media of United States Marine Corps Sergeant Tyler Vargas-Andrews give his testimony about the bombing in Kabul on August 26th.
We should play it.
Yes.
You want to put it up?
Yep.
All right, because this was one of my things that I was going to bring up today.
Yeah. He's a young guy, but he's very poor. I don't know many people who would be so swiftly as mature as he is and able to handle all this.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it.
He's professional. And I don't think I was as professional. I mean, I was, I don't know. We screwed those guys is what happened. We put them in the worst possible conditions, situation, and expected them to come out with a positive ending, knowing that there wasn't one.
And there's just no accountability at all.
I think that's the part that pisses the American people off, and that's why 400,000 people have seen it on our Instagram page.
I requested engagement authority while my team leader was ready on the M110 semi-automatic sniper system. The response, leadership did not have the engagement authority for us. Do not engage. I requested for the battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Brad Whited, to come to the tower to see what we did. While we waited for him, psychological operations individuals came to our tower immediately and confirmed the suspect met the suicide bomber description. He eventually arrived and we showed him our evidence, the photos we had of the two men. We reassured him of the ease of fire on the suicide bomber. Pointedly, we asked him for engagement authority and permission. We asked him if we could shoot. Our battalion commander said, and I quote, "I don't know," end quote. Myself and my team leader asked very harshly, "Well, who does? Because this is your responsibility, sir." He again replied he did not know, but would find out. We received no update and never got our answer. Eventually, the individual disappeared. To this day, we believe he was a suicide bomber. We made everyone on the ground aware. Operations had briefly halted, but then started again. Plain and simple, we were ignored. Our expertise was disregarded. No one was held accountable for our safety. About 1730, Staff Sergeant Darren Hoover, friend and mentor, came to get me from the tower to go help find an Afghan interpreter in the crowd.
What do you think he was thinking right there?
Tyler or the
McCall?
we owe this young man more. We got to do better.
We found the interpreter and his brother, born with American passports. They told us
Hoover's
there's
dead
5
now,
family
you know?
members still in the canal. I stayed there waiting for the family members standing against a 2-foot canal wall. 10 minutes passed. Then a flash and a massive wave of pressure. I'm thrown 12 feet onto the ground, but instantly knew what had happened. I opened my eyes to Marines dead or unconscious lying around me. A crowd of hundreds immediately vanished in front of me, and my body was catastrophically wounded with 100 to 150 ball bearings now in it. Almost immediately, we started taking fire from the neighborhood, and I saw how injured I was with my right arm, completely shredded and unusable. I saw my lower abdomen soaked in blood. I crawled backwards roughly 7 feet because I thought I was still in harm's way. My body was overwhelmed from the trauma of the blast. My abdomen had been ripped open. Every inch of my exposed body, except for my face, took ball bearings and shrapnel. I tried to get up but could not. Laying there for a few minutes, I started to lose consciousness when I heard Chaz, my team leader, screaming my name as he ran to me. His voice calling to me kept me awake.
Watch, listen.
When he got to me, he dragged me to safety and immediately started triaging me, tying tourniquets on my limbs and doing anything he could to stop the bleeding and start plugging wounds with the help of the other Marines. I was awake through most of it, screaming, moaning, and cursing. I ask you to please ask me about getting shot at the tower in Abbey Gate and how no one wanted my report post-blast. Even NCIS and the FBI failed to interview me. Asked me to elaborate on my ordeal post-blast, and asked me about this one little girl and her family that I reunited. Our military members and veterans deserve our best because that is what we give to America. The withdrawal was a catastrophe in my opinion, and there was an inexcusable lack of accountability and negligence. The 11 Marines, 1 sailor, and 1 soldier that were murdered that day have not been answered for. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak.
So that was his mom sitting behind him,
Yeah.
Tiffany. And I got to tell you, first off, it's hard for me to imagine listening to my child describe getting screwed by their country when what he just said, you know, these folks, these soldiers, Marines, seamen, airmen, they deserve our best because that's what they give America, right? And, you know, when he said, like, as soon as he said, Staff Sergeant Darren Hoover, friend and mentor, it immediately grabbed him, right? And you could feel, you know, when you get that lump in your throat, it's hard to speak. I get that way when I'm talking about my brothers who are gone, and it's hard. Like, well, I will say this. What worries me about the folks who were there that day, what worries me is the mental health stuff going forward, right? Because people aren't going to want to talk about it. And when they do, it's going to be so negative. There's not going to be a fucking day that goes by from now until that kid dies that he's not going to be attached to that day, right? And those 13 folks who were killed, you know, and that's just the Americans, right? There's tons of Afghanis who were killed and things like that. And they all have stories. It's just tough for me to fathom, you know, that we screwed this up so bad. When you see the fall of Saigon, you see these helicopters lifting off from the U.S. Embassy because we screwed up in Vietnam so bad, and thinking that will never happen again, right? We'll never allow that to happen again. And then our service members come home and they get spit on and called baby killer and all these things. And that was my dad, right? That was my dad. And then here we are again. And it has affected these Vietnam vets more than we could ever even ascertain or try to articulate, because when they watched the same Chinooks fly off of the roof of the embassy there, it was like, no fucking way. How is this possible that we didn't learn from this?
We didn't learn a thing.
How is that possible?
Yeah.
It's sad, man. It's really sad because, you know,
and then to not even be interviewed about it. Like, why don't you just tell me you don't give a fuck?
yeah. Or does it say, we already know what happened?
Yeah.
We know what happened. And I don't want to come to you and you tell me I fucked up. I know I fucked up. I don't know. But the answer is, we owe that young man, Tyler Andrews, accountability.
Yeah.
We owe him and his brothers and sisters who were killed that day some fucking accountability. I want my scalps. You know what I mean? And it's sad that we live in a day and age where there's still, you know, whether it's government cover-ups or whatever, you know, I'm not talking conspiracy theorist shit. I'm talking, this is a first-hand account of someone who was not only there that day, he's had 43 surgeries since.
Right.
If you can't tell from the video, he's missing his arm there. He's also missing one of his legs. He's had more internal injuries than we could, I mean, he said 150 ball bearings entered his body, right? He was, his body was lucky to survive. And the only reason it did was because he was an absolute fucking monster in the gym, because he was in such good shape. He said, the surgeons and the doctors told me that my body essentially ate itself to stay alive, and that if I wouldn't have been in as good a shape, I would have died. And that is 100% true.
Right.
And then here we are. Don't even ask him, hey, what happened, man? What did you see? We want to make sure this never happens again, ever. Nope. That's not their focus. So
They
what
didn't
the
even
fuck?
offer like some useless platitudes. Like,
Right.
come on, man.
But
To
listen,
not even interview him is just insane.
and not to, I don't want to like folks to think that I'm only going to bash this administration. I want to bash all administrations, just so you're aware. Like, no, seriously, like, you know, this show didn't exist when Trump was in office. Otherwise, I could have told you all kinds of dumb shit he did. But the point is this. We have a commander-in-chief who was looking at his watch on the tarmac when these folks got flown home, right? I haven't forgotten that shit either. He has classified information found at several different locations and then hid it until after elections and after all this stuff. That, again, it's the same thing. You don't want accountability. Just say you don't give a fuck. Just tell me, fuck you. You guys are peons down there, the average person. We're going to be up here in Washington, D.C. doing whatever we want.
Yeah.
And we're going to take your tax dollars and you're paying the bill. I think people are tired of this shit. I honestly do. But I don't know what the recourse is, right? Because if you go do January 6th shit, you go to prison. But what are we supposed to do as Americans to help get these folks back in line? It's hard, but I think at the end of the day is you have to vote out these people and vote in new people.
Yeah, I mean,
every single term.
I have zero hope for Americans uniting on any one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Except there's two exceptions, though.
Mm-hmm.
One is a war on U.S. soil or an attack on U.S. soil like you saw after 9/11.
Yep.
Or I think that we can all unite and agree on that these fucking politicians, no matter what side of the aisle, are out of control. Yeah. So
as a constitutional republic, we're supposed to have the power.
And I don't think we agree on that quite yet. I think that there are people that their tribe of choice can do no wrong.
Yeah.
But I think as more and more shit like this comes out, it's like I'm not like I'm just waiting, because at some point, like, the Republicans are already there. The GOP has done enough stupid shit that pretty much everybody, including Republicans, are sick of most of them. But then you have the fringe people on either side that are just like their candidate of choice can do no wrong. But once those people come around, dude, I think that we can vote a significant number of these people out. Or they're just going to die because they're all 100.
A lot of them are old. Yeah.
I bet you that happens before we agree that politicians need some reform.
Yeah.
They're just gonna die.
So I think you're right in a few different aspects. Number one, a lot of these older folks, like when you talk about the Feinsteins, I think McConnell, someone's in the hospital right now, wasn't like, so.
Didn't he fall?
Yeah, he got collapsed or something. You know, like these guys are old and they're going to be replaced with younger folks. And here's the fucked up part. I would love someone like Tyler Vargas-Andrews to serve in a capacity, just like one of my friends, idols, Bob Dole, right? And I know that Tyler has zero ambition to be an elected official. He doesn't want to be a politician.
Yeah.
Nope. But would he be good at it? He would be excellent because he's no nonsense. He's a fucking Marine, and he's like, you know, he'd rather just throat punch you than listen to, you know, excuses or nonsense. And I appreciate that. I do. But we won't get people like him. Instead, we get people like that fucking video is like, oh, all right, was it the NBA or the NFL? There's 37 of them are convicted of a crime, you know, whatever. 27 can't get a credit card because of bankrupting businesses and blah, blah, blah. 200 and, you know, what is however many, there's this many from domestic violence. Like, all right, no, that's Congress.
Yeah.
Fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Well, e pluribus unum.
Yeah, that's insane, man.
Yeah. And then they take our money involuntarily and spend it on whatever they want. And most of the time, I don't want them to spend it on that shit. So I'll just be a bitter old man like my dad when I'm old and say, this country ain't what it used to be. But I'm going to try to help in whatever way possible to help the next generation so that they can make some of the changes we need to make. And not just them. I don't put it all on them, you know, but I want to do my part here too. And I'm not running for office, but I'll definitely, I did propaganda videos for the fucking election last year.
Yeah, right.
They won't be asking me to do that again, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So, but.
Oh, well.
I'm not tripping on that. That was I'm glad, but man, you don't find many people like Joshua. I love Joshua. He's a great guy, and he has values, right? And I told this guy, he was asking me questions when he saw the commercial, and politically we don't always agree. And like, all right, cool, I don't care. But he asked me about Josh's position on one specific thing, on abortion, and I said, you know, Josh is conservative, and he's also religious. He does not want abortions and doesn't want them to be paid for by the government, right? He doesn't like that.
Mm.
Josh and I will not always agree on all things. I believe in a right to choose, right? But that's my opinion. I'm not going to agree with every single if I will not agree with any candidate on every single
Right.
you know, whatever I'm drawing a blank. Issue. Yeah, thank you. However, that took a while. Fuck. You know, however, I think someone who has values and stands by them and respects other people. And here's how I knew I liked Josh. I think I may have even told this once, but at my 40th birthday, I put out a thing on my social media. It was like, hey, listen, it's my birthday. If you guys want to come by, come by. And my house is big. It's meant for entertaining. And I had a bunch of my friends come by. Most of them were all like in this invitation, a private one. But there's a few friends who were like, hey, I heard about it. I was like, oh, I thought I invited you. My bad. Come by. So I put it on my social media. I was like, you know, these are my neighbors. If they're on my Facebook, I'm somewhat friends with them. I should be. So one friend comes by and her kids and my kids go to school together. And she saw Josh and she was like, is that the guy on the school board? And I was like, yeah. She's like, he's running for state assembly. I was like, yep. She's like, I'm going to go mind fuck him. Now, I think she was inebriated. Yeah. But when she said, I think I'm going to go mind fuck him, I was sad that she thought that was acceptable behavior for an adult.
Right.
and upset that she would use my house and my birthday as a time and place to have this mind-fucking conversation. So after like a few minutes, like when she first started this, I told Josh, hey, Josh, you don't got to listen to this. He's like, no, it's okay, Danny. It's all right. Go have fun, right? It was my birthday. So, and you saw me at my birthday. You were there. So I like, you know what I was doing. I was having a good time.
Yeah.
So I got my little fanny pack.
The fanny pack.
That's right. So it's an 80s party, baby. So, you know, so I go back to doing what I'm doing, having a good time. And Fawn ends up going over there and she tells this lady, hey, that's not what he's here for. He's here to celebrate with Danny. And that's what we're going to do. And I just, you don't really find that too much. I mean, there's people on both sides of the aisle, right? Because they're both shitty. But it's like, there's usually one side, in my opinion, that more wants to force your opinion to be the same as theirs. They need that echo chamber and validate what they're saying. Otherwise, you're a, name it, fascist, racist, homophobic, transphobic, whatever name they can give you. And you're like, I don't feel like I'm any of those things. So, all right, that's cool. But I don't agree with you on something. So why do I have to be this? Because I don't agree with you. And it's like, we have gotten so far off of being able in society as a country from being able to have some sort of civil discourse that now you get this label.
Well, again, it all comes back around to, and we mentioned this on like the second episode that we did, is that no one has gotten punched in the face. Cause you can say all this like rancid shit through a screen and there's no consequence. That's why like a complete stranger on Twitter will just like wreck you.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah.
You're just like, damn, dude.
Okay.
And some people take that shit personally.
Yeah.
Others don't, but like it's so toxic.
So how do we make it better for our kids, for example? I mean, I have kids. So how do we make it better for the next generation? How do we teach them to be able to disagree with someone? Because I don't want them to just give in or be a doormat. So how do I get them to advocate for themselves, but not?
Dude, I don't know.
I know.
You're asking me, bro. I have no idea.
It's just rhetorical. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It's hard.
I mean, I hate to say it. The easy answer is to just bring the communication back offline so that the possibility of you getting socked in the face is there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of an immediate remedy for a lot of behavior online. But
yeah,
that at the same time is like kind of advocating for violence, which I don't. But I don't know. There has to be consequences to what you say. Like I don't care that we have free speech and all that shit.
I think I advocate for violence sometimes.
Yeah, I mean again, it has that shaming works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it's just one of those kind of double-edged swords, I guess. But I would rather that than a bunch of assholes online just like stoking anger.
Goggins, his senior chief or whatever, would come to his little runs when he started doing it with a fucking pint of ice cream. Because that's before he became a silly. When he tells that story,
Guilty pleasure.
Yeah, he would go in there and he's like, I ate the whole thing. Because he was like, he watched that Buds show on, was it on Nat Geo or History Channel, whatever the fuck it was on. And he's like, I'm going to be a SEAL. But he was fat. And he was like, I'm going to go for a run. And he goes to like the end of the block and he turns back around. He goes, fuck this. And he turns right back around. And he goes back to the house and he eats that entire thing of ice cream. And he told that story, right? So then he loses it because he was 300 pounds. So he couldn't run. So he started riding his bike everywhere. And he lost weight and all that shit. But it's so funny to me because like his chief is just like, I didn't forget where you came from, you fat piece of shit.
Yeah.
Run, you know? And he's like, this guy was like, so you run for like hours now? He's like, days. He ran for like 39 hours. He ran 205 miles. Oh. Could you imagine that?
No.
Say that number, 205 miles.
Dude,
straight, no stopping, no sleep, nothing.
Sackfire is 48 miles and
48 hours.
48 hours, yeah. That was impressive. I don't even want to do that.
No.
Yeah.
Not interested.
They crushed that though.
They did.
I think I told you about, there's this kid on TikTok. You know how you can like take a story and like, I don't know what they call it, but you can like split it with your own.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Like show your reaction to things.
Yeah, you can like
that.
remix
like split
it.
screen.
Yeah.
So
there's this one of David Goggins and he's walking or he's running. You know how he has those videos? There's some poor soul running next to him with a camera.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you need a cocky and a bitch. He's like screaming at the camera. And so this kid, he just takes this one where he's like walking in this really nice park. And then it splits to David Goggins. He's like, don't ever quit. And it splits back to him. And he's like, well, dude, I'm just walking. And then it goes back to Goggins. He's like, you need a cocky and a bitch. Like, who's going to carry the boats? Ah, like screaming. And he's like, dude, why are you yelling? Like, we're just on a walk. It was pretty good.
Burn the boats.
I walked into a restaurant the other day with my dad.
Shout out, Dave. We love you, by the way.
Matter of fact, it was that day because we were gonna take the boat out.
Oh, out
Sunday.
at the lake.
And like it was crazy because we were at Beals Point doing that event and calm as can be. A little bit of rain, but like no wind.
Yeah,
it was wild. We get to the Granite Bay boat launch and it's like white caps and gale force wind straight into us. So the boat ramp itself is like just all over the place. There's no way. So we were like, whatever, let's just go to this restaurant. So we go over to this restaurant and this kid sees us at the bar and he comes to order something. He looks at my dad. My dad's wearing glasses and a beanie. And he goes, you have a TikTok? My dad was like, looks at me to make sure that he wasn't looking at me.
Did you say Tic Tac, son?
Yeah. He looks back at the guy behind the bar and he was like, no. And the kid was like, are you sure?
You look like a famous TikToker.
Yeah, dude. Dave was like, yeah, dude, I'm sure. He was like, I'll be right back. You look like this guy. I'll be right back. So me and dad are like, whatever, dude. So we get our order or whatever. And 10 minutes later, he comes back. He's like, took me forever to find it. But he's like, tell me this doesn't look like you. And the whole time, Dave and I were like, there's no way this guy looks like you, right? I was like,
it's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I swear to God, dude, if someone had fucking showed me that, if the guy didn't talk, if I couldn't have heard his voice, I would have been like, that is my dad.
That's dad.
And the guy in the video was wearing a beanie and glasses. And that's why the kid like thought it looked like him. Cause my dad never wears beanies unless we're out on the boat or whatever.
Yeah, it's cold.
But it was so funny, dude.
Well, that's like, I try to show my kids fucking Adventures in Babysitting because I thought it was a great movie. And they're like, keep showing, I forget her fucking name now, the babysitter. But, back in the 80s, she was hot as shit. And they show, there's like, people think she's in this Playboy. She's like the centerfold or whatever in the movie. And like, how I explain this shit to my kids, like, nudie magazines.
Yeah.
People used to get them in an actual magazine instead of just digitally.
Yeah,
I don't know.
A magazine.
All right. So the Hugh Hefner. No.
Dude, have you seen Weird Science?
Really?
Obviously, you've
of
seen
course.
Weird Science.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't remember that chick's name, but she was a rocket. I think it's like Kelly something. I could be wrong.
I don't remember her name right now either. Yeah, but those
fantastic movie. I mean, like, why don't they make movies like that anymore? Why does every movie have to be like a Marvel movie?
I'm so sick of them just redoing everything. The 80s were literally the best. Like, I imagine the 60s were super cool, right? But they weren't cool enough that you loved them and didn't want to take acid to make them cooler. So,
also, you could just take acid in the 80s too.
That's true. But now there's so much fentanyl coming across the border, afraid to do any fucking thing. Can't be recreational drugs. It's scared. Just scary. I mean, it's. I tell you what, it's so scary that Walmart has the testers so you can test your drugs so you don't get fucking.
Killed. I mean, dude, I advocate for those all the time.
Yeah,
like it's smart. If you're gonna fuck around and do that shit, at least test it.
I just can't believe like the amount of drugs now, and I've heard that a lot of this has come from China. That this is their retribution for the debt that we owe them and all that kind of shit too. So I don't know.
You were in Miami, but we went to the...
I didn't do drugs in Miami, by the way.
You were in Miami running some blow, but we went to this Meet the Leaders thing with the city of Folsom. And I don't remember his name, but higher up at Folsom PD spoke. And he gave us the 2022 stats for Sac County, and they seized like, some million fucking street pills.
Yeah.
But 94% of them were fake and was just fentanyl.
94%.
So not even 10% of street pills in Sac County are even real.
See,
so
bro,
if you're buying pills off the fucking street,
yeah,
stop.
Yeah, don't do that.
Just stop.
Yeah.
You're lucky. You're literally lucky to be alive right now.
Yeah.
Stop. It's bad.
I heard, so, there were these, I think it was 4 Americans were down in Mexico and got fucking killed, right?
Yeah.
So, and then now the cartel has sent a letter apologizing, how nice of them, for killing these folks. Now, I've heard.
Well, did they tie up 5 dudes too?
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard that one of the guys has previous drug trafficking charges and some other shit, and they said that, like, the online sleuths, the fucking peanut gallery, were like, oh, these dudes were trying to run drugs and the cartel caught them, and can't be fucking with the cartel's money. But I also heard that they were there for, like, she was getting plastic surgery or some shit.
Yeah.
And I know people go down there for surgery and other crap all the time. I don't know, man. Our borders are super dangerous.
Yeah.
They found mass graves down there with literally thousands. And when I say that, I don't mean like 2,000. I mean like fucking 12,000 people. They have found some huge mass grave. Could you imagine that? You just go down there and there's all these people that the cartels have killed and said, fuck it, bury them here.
I was reading this this article. There's a cartel. It's like the new generation cartel, split off from the Jalisco cartel. They caught a couple of like teen recruits, and they said that they were forced to torture a dude until he died. They put him in a walk-in, and they had to basically dismember him, and they ate his flesh. They were forced to eat his flesh. They're kids.
That's like some of the shit they do in Africa too. That has to get these motherfuckers.
Yeah,
like, it's
dude.
wild, bro.
Boko Haram
And
shit. So fucking wild.
And I know, like, Sinaloa and all these places that have housed these, huge drug traffickers forever and ever. Like, I met one of the cops from the show Narcos or whatever. Like, the guy who was really down in Colombia when they were chasing Pablo Escobar. These guys lived, first off, a crazy life. There's only a couple of them down there. They're lucky they didn't get fucking killed at any moment. I mean, Pablo Escobar literally blew up their, like, Supreme Court and shit. Like, he didn't give a fuck about their government. And he was so rich that he waged war against his country and damn near won, right? There were people, he built his own prison. So, first off, it just goes to show you that the war on drugs did not work.
No.
Okay? Or drugs won, if it there's a winner. drugs won the war. But, I mean, think about this.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Kinetic Ink Tattoo Company. If you're looking to get a tattoo or piercing in the Folsom area, you have to check out Kinetic Ink. You'll realize that this is not your ordinary shop the second you walk through the door. Kinetic Ink is built to bring together the veteran and first responder communities in a place where they can connect with one another, share their stories, and get tattooed by world-class artists. What I love most about Kinetic is that a percentage of every tattoo is donated to Warfighter Overwatch to help vets and first responders when they need it most. The sense of community and camaraderie they've built is unlike any shop I've been in. Go check them out. They're located in Folsom at 47 Natoma Street, right across the street from City Hall. Mention the Patriotic Podcast and get 15% off Kinetic Ink merchandise. Shout out to Kinetic for sponsoring the pod. Now back to our episode.
Let's say you go to prison for trafficking drugs. You can get drugs in the prison.
Yep.
So they can't even stop them from being in the facility where you go to pay punishment for the crimes you've committed, because the police officers who go in there, the correctional, but they're bringing shit in because they're dirty too.
Drugs are like those car warranty calls, bro. There's no fucking stopping them.
This is Bain. I'm calling about your car warranty.
There's no stopping them.
No, they'll continue to.
And arguably, all this fentanyl that China is sending over, that's like a fucking act of war, dude.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
look how many people have died. It is the number one leading cause of death. If you're like 18 to 40, number one leading cause of death.
Yeah.
Not fucking COVID, not car accidents, fentanyl.
Yeah.
That is mind blowing to me. But it also shows me how much pain and suffering that our country's going through, that people are going through. But, you know, in other countries, like they've talked, like suicide shit isn't a problem there. So what the fuck are we doing here in America where this is such a prevalent issue?
Is this an argument to legalize and regulate drugs?
More like Amsterdam.
Is it?
I mean,
Because
potentially.
like imagine let's just say that you're a cocaine user, and it doesn't even make sense for cocaine to be laced with fentanyl, but most of it is now.
Right.
It doesn't even make sense. Like an up and a down, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
But that
But I mean, they put this shit on the same tables and do all, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's that euphoria
Yeah.
factor too, and like I've noticed that the stronger the opiate, like the less like bogged down you are, like the stronger it is, the more like kind of lively,
Yeah.
closer it is to cocaine. So you probably don't even really notice unless there's a shit ton of fentanyl in the cocaine. But like, let's say you're a cocaine user and you don't want to die, so you could go to a dispensary. I wonder how many people that would save, or if that would like what's the net on that? If you legalize cocaine, which you can overdose on,
Right.
you can't cook it down into crack and all that crazy shit.
Yeah.
So what's the net? Like, how many deaths do you gain from legalizing and regulating cocaine versus just letting people buy it on the streets where it likely is laced with fent? And same goes for every other drug. I mean, like heroin, for example.
I don't know, man. I mean, listen, like making drugs illegal is like making murder illegal.
Right.
Some people are still going to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Right. And like the same thing, like the more gun regulation you do, all right, cool. So the people who follow the law are going to do that. The people who don't still don't care about you making new laws. They don't give a fuck what you're doing in Washington, D.C. or down in the Sacramento. Right. They don't care. So getting I suppose you have a couple of things. You have our inability to stop it at the borders as a problem. But even more so, okay, let's say we legalize it and they regulate it more and they test things and all that. Well, who's going to pay for that? Right. But do you get, okay, so let's say you take that money that was going to law enforcement because the federal government has given them billions of dollars to departments all across the country for drug enforcement, right? So do we take that money from them now and give it to whatever programs, to testing, to Narcan clinics or addiction clinics? I don't know. I mean, Amsterdam doesn't really have this kind of problem, and they have you can go do drugs at the fucking cafe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but I do know what they're doing now isn't working, and it's just a big old black eye, in my opinion, but you know, they found all these drugs, they got lots of them, and they destroy them or whatever, so that's good. But there's still all these deaths. There's still, you know, my kids have classes about this shit now at school. It's not just say no to drugs, Red Ribbon Week.
Yeah.
It's one pill can kill.
Yeah.
You know, we tattooed, there's these group of moms, these fentanyl moms. That's what they're like, fentanyl mom. It's fucked up. There's a whole slew of them whose kids took one pill, got it off TikTok or Snapchat, thought they were getting a perk or something else, and they ended up taking a pill and dying. And then, you know, like, so we tattooed one of the moms, super nice lady. In fact, we could bring her in here and talk about this stuff. She would gladly, she talks about to all the schools around here. She misses her kid, man. And his, you know, it's just, as a parent, it's scary as fuck, right? Because when you're a kid, my kids listen to me as much as they're going to listen to me. And when they're not around me, they're going to do things that that they wouldn't do if I was standing there.
100%.
Because I did it, and my parents did it, and your parents did it. So helping my kids understand the risk of one pill, right? It's like, fuck, man, listen, dad smokes pot, right? I smoke weed, and there's a reason. And I even advocate for it. Like, I want other veterans to not take all the pills that they give them at the VA, because that shit can help lead you to suicide. Now, that doesn't mean it does it for everyone. It helps, but it's only supposed to help so far as that you can get off of it and be not dependent, whether it's depression, suicidal ideation, PTSD, sleep problems, whatever it is. You know, I had all these issues, and the VA gave me, dude, on my good days, I was taking like 20 something pills, and on my bad over 30. Like, I felt like I was poisoning myself. So, and then I did try to take my own life, right? And now I don't take any of that shit. People see me on here. They like I drink one beer. It was actually funny. Fawn and I had this conversation. She's like, "Well, you've drank a few beers." I was like, "I need to lose weight." She's like, "Well, you've been drinking beer," and I was like, "Fawn, we do the podcast every 2 weeks. That's one beer every 2 weeks, and then I'll add to that because I do on Wednesday and Friday I usually play golf, but like on Wednesday I'll have a beer with Bob, right? And I have one Dos Equis. I'm like, so one beer a week, and it's been raining, so it's not like I've been, but you're talking like 3-4 beers in a month. Get the fuck out of here. Come on. 6 beers a month. That doesn't do anything. So, but I don't drink now to get drunk or whatever. Well, so I say that. Then I went over G's house. Shout out Lucky's Barber here in Folsom, California. Great place to get your hair cut. If you don't know, go over there. Best fade. I won't go anywhere else. So Greg, the owner of Lucky's, is my neighbor. I love UFC. I love MMA. So I go to his house to go watch the fights. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to go over there. So I go over, and he says, hey, we play this game. It's just like him and I. The other people who normally come, they're not coming. Like, well, our buddy was sick, and so we're hanging out. And he's like, all right, we play a game. We'll flip a quarter for the first one. Whoever wins the coin toss gets to pick the fighter that they believe is going to win that first fight, and then we'll continue, and we'll switch who gets to pick the first fighter for that fight. And the loser has to take a shot. And the winner, he takes a shot with the loser. And I was like, wait, what? I said, he's like, well, one's celebratory. You won. You take a shot. I'm like, what? So we did the prelims too. I think it was like, I don't know. It was like 8 shots of tequila. I just went home and went straight to sleep. Slept like a baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, haven't done this in a while. I woke up, and oddly enough, I was not hungover. But I don't ever drink like that, ever.
I don't get hungover from liquor, dude. It's only beer now.
Only beer? Beer makes me full. So that's why I don't drink much of that. I mean, I don't drink alcohol really, like beer or hard alcohol much anymore. If I have a drink, my max is usually 2.
Yeah. Golfing is troublesome.
It can be, especially if you're having a rough day.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
A little swing lube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or birdie juice. Like, let's say you're having a good day.
Yeah.
Let's say the team is having a good day.
Yeah.
It could be a problem, man. None of us had a good day yesterday. It was the first day it's been sunny here. So let's talk about that. We were talking about the wind a second ago. The other day was 60-mile-an-hour wind here in Sacramento Valley, Folsom. In San Francisco, they had 94-mile-an-hour wind. It blew a semi on the Bay Bridge over. And it blew a window out of a top floor. I think it was the B of A building. I can't remember, but one of the top floors, one of those real tall buildings. And it blew a huge window pane. I don't know if anyone got hurt or killed or any of that. I didn't hear anything about that, but I do know that it blew. Could you imagine? Like 100-mile-an-hour winds, just you're on the, 72nd floor of some building, and whoosh, there goes the window. Fuck.
The morning news was on the other day, and they had a live webcam at the summit of one of the ski resorts nearby. Ooh. And it literally looked like Antarctica.
Yeah.
Like this wind was just insane. And it was 138 miles an hour. Yeah.
Have you seen some of the pictures from Tahoe? Like the amount of snow?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So all of you people who talk shit about California being in a drought, and you say you're going to send me water in a fucking envelope every year and talk shit to me, I just want to say I'll need that envelope in a couple months, because my state is going to waste all the money the water that we.
No place in our state is in severe drought anymore, which is nice.
Nope, that's correct. Which is pretty awesome. In fact, they've even taken away the restrictions for the folks in LA down the desert where they built that city.
But Truckee, California is routinely, I learned this yesterday, is routinely clocked as the coldest place in the nation, like several times throughout the year.
We used to have the number one snowfall. Truckee had the number one snowfall for several years.
Yeah.
And Colorado, I think there's somewhere up there, maybe Vail or one of those places has it now, but it didn't used to be that way. For a while, it would dump here. That's what they had the Olympics here at Squaw and all that kind of stuff, but we've been in drought for a bit, so
yeah,
they haven't gotten as much.
Yeah, my aunt said something absurd. I think I heard her correctly. She said that like their house in Gray Eagle is like 8 feet under snow right now.
Yeah.
Like on top of their roof.
Yep.
They have to like tunnel their way in.
Isn't that wild?
Some crazy shit like that. Yeah.
I haven't shoveled snow in over a decade now.
It's brutal.
I haven't scraped my windshield.
I hate doing that.
I don't want to live that life, but I know at some point I'm probably going to move out of California.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going to go. I've been thinking, like, I really just want to go to Hawaii, but I'm probably
That
going
would be sick.
to end up in like,
It's like the only place that's more expensive than here, though.
that's the biggest issue. So that's why I'm probably going to end up in like South Carolina somewhere where I can golf, still go to the ocean. There's woods.
Move to Jupiter, dude. Jupiter, Florida.
I do love Florida. Now, listen, if I move to Jupiter, I can't afford to go join any of those clubs there.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe, at least not right now. Maybe in a few years that'll change. I need to hit the lotto.
Yeah.
Yeah, something. We need to invent something so we can get like dirty, filthy, scandalous rich. Yeah. Yep. And then I'll move to Jupiter. Dude, I'll go play with.
You need to get into politics, dude.
Still it's the people's money.
Yeah.
I'm the people's champ.
Trying to build a volleyball facility. I need some money.
It's for underprivileged. No. Volleyball players. That's really how people exploit shit. They find a need and then they're like, well, we're going to fill out this need, but I didn't realize so many of you people cared about underprivileged volleyball players, so I'm going to keep half.
Yeah.
Grifters, man.
Custodial fee.
Yeah, did
you know he's suing Pat McAfee?
I did just see that he's suing Pat McAfee.
How do you
for something he said right on the?
Yeah, but like of all people to pick that were just trashing Brett Favre.
Yeah.
How do you pick Pat McAfee?
I don't know.
At least he sarcastically said allegedly after every time.
He did, but think about this. They're saying that old Favre, he's got. So like he took money or he's supposed to give money to Mississippi, right, to the school. There's a lot of things that seem shit. And plus you're talking about a guy who got caught sending, was it dick pics
dude.
To the cheerleader. And so.
Don't send dick pics.
Yeah. I think that was a fad. Is it still going around?
It's just never a good idea.
Yeah, Dan. Listen, all right. So at Kinetic Inc., I think you remember this, but our IG got hacked for a little bit, got stolen.
Yeah.
And these guys were like, give me money and I'll give you your thing back. And I was like, listen, man, I don't trust you because you're a thief. So he's like, I'm a businessman. It's like, no, I'm a businessman. You're a thief. So if you give me back my IG stuff, I'll pay you. He's like, I know that you won't pay me. I'm like, yeah, he's right. So I talked to one of the artists, had a friend, they ended up getting us back in there. But in the interim, all of my friends were like, they sent me some message from your account and they knew that it was hacked. I had put out a thing and they were like, this guy is like, hey, click on this link. Can we use you? Like, you want to buy some clothes or do something? They know like we got swag. So I'm worried these people are clicking on the shit. Many of them did say yes. And I don't know what happened. Hopefully nothing. But when I did get back into my account, which was only a few days later, what I found was some of my friends, Dan, sent penis pictures to my account. Many. Very veiny. Flashbacks. And they were just like, hey, bro. Boom, dick. I was wondering, dick. If dick. It was pretty fun. I'm grateful for my friends. I got good friends.
I was watching a show the other day with Alyssa, and it referenced that meme with the giant black dude that's sitting on the end of the bed with the hog that's just hanging over.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I started laughing, and Alyssa didn't laugh, and I was like, do you know what that's from? She's like, no, I don't get it. And I was like, 1 sec. And I pulled up that photo, and just the look on her face, dude, she didn't even say anything. She was just like,
this is AI. That's not real. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's bigger than your arm.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to tell you. Oh, dude, I watched this Theo Vaughn thing the other, like, it made me laugh. I don't know why, because that just reminded me of it. But he's like, penises are based on the size of the ass and your ethnic background, right? Have you seen that one? Yeah. He's like, that's why black guys got such big dicks, because black girls have big asses. And he's like, and then the guy who was talking with him, he's like, yeah, and Asian girls have no ass. He's like, right, and allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Listen, Theo Vaughn is a national treasure, and we have to protect him at all costs. So that's our call to action today.
Yeah, he's our generation's Betty White.
If you see Theo Vaughn, you protect him.
Yeah, dude, the things that comes out of that guy's mouth. And it's not like, I thought the first several times I saw him, like at least in stand-ups and stuff, I was like, this is a character, clearly.
Yeah.
And then he started putting out like long form podcasts and then appearing on other people's podcasts. And I was like, this is not a character at all. This is just
his stories are real life shit and they're also jokes. So you figure that out.
Have you seen the animated cartoons?
I saw one like short of an animated clip and that was it.
So there's this dude, I think his name is Papio Tunes, PAPIOTOONS on YouTube. And he'll take like 3 or 4 minute clips.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that Theo puts on his Instagram from time to time, but he'll take like 3 or 4 minute clips and he'll animate them. And they are hilarious. Papio might be the one that does it for Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan has some animated ones too that are fucking hilarious. Yep. But whoever does Theo's is funny as shit.
I think AI is going to change a lot of the stuff like that people are able to do digitally just because it's gotten so good. But the scary part is, have you seen some of these deep fakes? Joe Biden's talking about this or that. Like, it's scary because you don't know what's real and what's not. And the people who don't know how to check or, dig deep into something, they just see this and they go rage, right? They're like this guy, he was actually from Sacramento. He drove, I remember they showed the clip. Dr. Fauci was like, this guy from Sacramento is going to come kill me. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, he was. It's like, but people are crazy.
Well, dude, and like you said, it's never been harder right now. Deepfakes are at their infancy.
Yeah.
Compared to what they're going to be in even
so
a year from now.
Yeah.
And they're
Scary.
crazy good.
Yeah.
And old people are particularly susceptible because like these are the same folks that are like reposting Onion articles. Like, what the fuck? They're all mad. Yeah. Not realizing that it's a satirical article.
Yeah.
And then I also read
the Duffel blog.
I read a statistic the other day. I don't remember who published it. That's important. But it said that of all the political parties, that like right wingers are the most uninformed, which doesn't surprise me at all when you have an acting, congressman or woman, I should say, that's like accusing the Jews of having space lasers and all kinds of weird shit like that. Like, so people are already uninformed as it is. Now, when they see a recognizable face or name saying something, even if it's just audio,
they believe it.
Yeah.
So that made me laugh because I just saw a thing that this lady said she didn't want. The lady said you need to manually enter the barcode because she didn't want the lasers to touch her food.
Oh my God.
Listen though, there's these people running around and they're creating other little thems, and it's scary because some people shouldn't procreate. Like there's a saying that we had in the military that I learned, and it was, your mama should have swallowed. And it just puts things into perspective that maybe some people shouldn't exist. And not that I'm advocating for violence in this instance, but maybe different sexual method, because, oh man, when we have these people walking around like this, space laser fucking juice, like what the fuck is wrong with people? And how did you get into a position where you get to vote on what's going to happen next? Like, fuck, man, this is a story that, only.
How did you convince another several 100,000 morons to vote you into a position of power? I'm talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, obviously.
Yeah.
That decrepit bitch. Like, what is that lady's problem, dude?
Well, I mean, pick it. She bumped her head too many times. She fucking ate lead paint chips. Something is seriously wrong with that lady. But look, she's not alone. There's lots of them. And you got to be pretty narcissistic to think that, like, you can fix this shit, right? I want to fix this shit, but I like the whole, think globally, act locally. Like, I'm going to do shit here in my community and make my community better as good as I can try, positively influence it. I'm not trying to go to DC and do this shit, but that's beside the point. I want people to go there and fix it, but then when they get there, I'm going to criticize them anyway. So good luck to them.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, this is why I saw this thing. It's like, yeah, women should definitely be NFL refs. Who better to tell men when they screwed up every single time and, have a little meeting about how they screwed up and then we'll decide how to punish them. And I laughed, right? It made me laugh because it's like, yeah, listen, if it's been rainy, so it's been cold, I'm complaining. Like yesterday it was warm when the clouds let the sun through. It's like, oh, that's probably too warm, right?
Yeah.
I was like, always complain about something.
Yeah.
That's really what we do as humans. Complain about shit. Not well,
Yeah.
Americans a lot.
I do that every year though. I'm like in the summertime, I'm like, fuck,
It gets real hot though.
Yeah. But then in the winter, it looks like summer all winter. And then when it finally is supposed to start warming up, it rains for weeks on end.
This is abnormal though.
We just went through like legitimate full spring.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And now it's, and then this atmospheric river thing, it's like hot outside and raining.
So weird.
Yeah. It's a trip. I was out fishing in the rain yesterday.
I got to look at the weather. We're going to New York. We're going to take all the kids and go show them some Broadway plays and eat some food. I'm excited to take them.
When are you guys going?
The first week of April. So I'm curious, like, is it going to be cold there? And I hope it's not too bad. It might be warmer than it is here, but we'll see.
Might be. Never been to New York.
Never. It's fun, man. That place is wild. I'll tell you a story about Times Square. Fuck it. Let's talk about it right now. So I went to go see my buddy in Ronkonkoma. He lives in Long Island. So I go see him.
And where?
Ronkonkoma.
Ronkonkoma.
So I got to ride the train out there, right? And I go out there, I go see my buddy, we hang out. I'm riding the train back. And there's nobody on the train but me and this other gentleman. I use that term loosely. I think there was like one other person, but they got off. And this thing is, it's going to stop at, I think it's not Grand Central. I think it's the other one. I can't remember what it is right now. Anyways, it's going to stop at Penn Station, I think was the last stop or whatever. So I'm going to get off on this train there. And this guy, I can smell weed. So I'm like, hey, bro, I'm from Cali, and I don't have any weed. But I can smell it. He was like, and I don't know if I didn't have a neck tattoo. I don't know if he's thinking, like, this guy's a cop. I don't know. But I reassured him, and I told him, I said, look, man, I need to go. I'm getting off. This is the last train that's going to the city, and I have to go back to Manhattan. And he's like, I'm getting off in Jamaica, Queens right here. And I was like, fuck. That's where 50's from. So I was like, all right. Well, I got like $3 because I had to buy this ticket to get on the train and all this shit. And this guy wanted $5 for a sack of weed. But I had $3. So he gave me some weed, pulls this sack out from the inside of his pants, which was awesome. And then he's got a bunch and he just gives me one. He's like, you're good, bro. And I got off, and they didn't even have like regular zigzags or papers. I had to go find these cigarette rolling papers, and they were kind of crappy at this store that's specific to like New York. I'm breaking this up in my hand. I roll it. I'm walking. All of a sudden, it gets really lit up, like bright when I'm walking. Turns out I'm walking into Times Square. I've taken like 3 drags off this joint. And as I look ahead, as I'm coming up to the big where it's super lit, 2 cops on this corner, 1 cop on this corner, 2 cops on the corner across. Now there's people who just got right in front of me. They're dressed to the nines, tuxedo. They've been out having a blast, whatever they're doing. I get in right behind them, and it's now hot. Earlier it was cold and windy, and now it's like humid at night.
Yeah.
So I got this jacket, and I'm like holding it over my arm, and I have the joint. I don't put it out. I just kind of cup it, and I get up there, right? And the light turns green. We go walking across. I'm literally going to walk right by 3 cops. The other 2 are on this side. I go right by, and we get about like 30 feet. I don't turn left there. I'm supposed to, but I'm not going to. I go down 1 more block. I'm going to go down there. About like 40 or 50 feet past the thing, one of the guys, the guy that I was walking behind him and the girl, he was like, oh man, I smell the good stuff. So I like looked around, and I turned around and looked, and the cop literally, he went like this towards us, and then just like stood back up. Like I think he finally got a whiff of it, but it didn't really matter. So I hit it, and it's like right as it was about to go out, so it lights back up, and I give it to him. We smoked the rest of the joint, and I went on my way. I was like paranoid at first because there is a substation So a block down from where I was, like when we were waiting for the light to turn so we could walk across, there's like it's like a subway car, but it is a police station in the middle of Times Square. There's 50 cops there. And I'm like a block away from that. And that's what I'm like, oh my, what are you doing?
Yeah,
But
right.
now weed is legal in New York, but you got to be like in private. You got to be discreet. You can't be out in public. You're not supposed to be out and about smoking. At least that's the way it was then. I don't know if they have recreational now, but
You're just walking around in Times Square.
yeah, smoking a joint, man. You know what though? It was cool. I had a good
Yeah, I
time.
bet.
It was, because I'll tell you what happened after that. Fawn didn't go with me to Ronkonkoma. She didn't feel good. But when I got back to the hotel, she was like, hey, you want to go to the diner over here? I was like, yeah. You know, because nothing shut down. They didn't care.
Yeah.
New York is a wild place, but it's a lot of fun. I didn't think I would like Broadway shows. To be honest with you, I went because I wanted to get laid. And, you know, when I got laid. But I actually enjoyed the show. And then I was like, so now, and I've been several times now. And when we go, Fawn's like, let's watch a different show. I'm like, cool. Now I got to take my kids. I'm pretty excited to do that because I'm telling you right now, I thought this was going to be, it's like golf. In the beginning, I was like, I don't wear the funny pants and the goofy shit. I don't
Yeah.
know. And now I'm like, I'll wear all that shit. I'm a snazzy dresser, baby.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
you're going to have like a tux and a pocket watch and shit?
Well, I asked her, I said, are we dressing up to go to these
Little
things? Because I've had
binocular.
suits. No, I'm not going to wear, maybe a no. You know, I asked her, like, are we dressing up? I don't think I'll wear a tie, but we'll see what the kids want to do. But like one of my favorites, because I love food, man. Traveling's like one of my favorite things. So where Big Paulie got killed over there by Gian Gatti, Carmine's is like my favorite place to go eat. So we go, and normally it's Fawn and I, and it's like it's family style.
Yeah.
So we go order chicken parm, and they give you 5 or 6 of them,
Yeah.
or whatever. Like, well, now I'll have enough people to eat the rest of
There
that
you go.
stuff. Yeah. But I'm so excited for the food.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. It is fun. I think we're going to do all the tourist stuff, like the Natural History Museum, that movie Night at the Museum is like, Gimme Gum Gum Dum Dum, the Easter Island, like all those things, the T-Rex bones,
Yeah.
all that shit's there. Like the kids are going to, so we're going to do that. It's going to be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to the East Coast anywhere. I really want to go catch a Steelers game in Pittsburgh.
Dude, I was supposed to. My buddy was supposed to fly out, and we were going to go because he'd gone to a Raider game before, but I was going to go to Pittsburgh and go watch a game. You know what I wanted to watch a baseball game in Three Rivers before that one got tore down. They built a new one or whatever they got there now, but because that was the only other place that hit the ball in the water like we have here at
Right.
Oracle or
Whatever the fuck they call it now.
yeah, it was Pac Bell in the beginning. Now I think it's
Pac Bell, then Monster, and then
it is
I
Oracle.
think it's Oracle, yeah. Oracle Park.
Yeah, Oracle Park.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to the Giants Dodgers. So like for opening day, we got a road trip for, I don't remember where we're at. We're like Kansas City, Houston. I don't remember. We're a couple places or some crap. Then we come back here and we'll play the Dodgers. So
Nice.
yeah,
I want to go to some River Cats games this year.
let's do it.
I like going to River Cats.
They're a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's
A lot of
close
sports
by.
stuff happening, man. You got the NFL is getting shook up
Dude,
everywhere. I
free
couldn't believe
agency has been wild.
Okay, first off, like I'm a Raider fan. So
Yeah.
Derek Carr, it's a whole controversy. Do you want him? Is he better than the other guys you've ever had? For most of my life, the answer is yes, except for like Rich Gannon. And then like on the flip side, like who you gonna have replace him? Well, Jimmy G's the answer. So we're gonna see how that goes, right?
That's
He's
funny.
pretty, but he gets hurt.
I saw a funny tweet that was like the Raiders signed a better looking Derek Carr.
Right.
That's pretty much what it is.
That's it. It's more tan. So then you got Darren Waller. So if you ask me, he's like number 3 tight end in the NFL, right? And that's like Kelsey, Kittle, that guy.
Yeah.
And he was out several games last year, but we traded him to New York, and I'm pretty sad about that. But I know it's a business. I know it's, that's the way it goes. But there has been already lots of
Dude, the Bears
change-ups.
The Bears fleeced the Panthers, first of all.
The Panthers are going to get Miles.
Well, they're going to get whoever they want.
Yeah.
But I think they gave up a lot of draft capital for the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
And
Who do you think goes in that number 1 slot?
CJ Stroud.
You think it's Stroud?
Yeah.
He's like young too, but they said he's too short.
They
And
say
Stroud's like the complete package.
They say he's 5'10".
That's what they said.
That's really.
It's like Kyler Murray's like what, like 5'9"?
I don't know. Is he?
I think so. That's like Doug Flutie shit, man. And he's like, that was the most unrealistic thing. Like, listen, I'm 5'10", and you know what I was told? Because I played quarterback.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can play fucking free safety maybe, or you can play. You can play. I'll tell you what. Why don't we make you something else? And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, and then you have Aaron Rodgers is likely going to the Jets.
Yeah, they got Lazard and making some moves. He wants Odell Beckham there.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Odell hasn't played in what? 2
2 years.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
No,
he played for the Rams.
He played in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And got hurt. And was out the whole season.
Yep.
Steelers are looking kind of nice in the offseason so far. We've signed Patrick Peterson at quarterback.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we just signed a backup too.
Casey, however you say it, at safety. We just signed a guard that's like 6'4", 300 and some odd pounds. So
big stuff.
Yeah, but a lot of shit going down in the NFL. It's been really fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, man, I appreciate having these conversations with you.
Yeah,
I know we talk about a lot of different stuff, and we can kind of squirrel it and go down the rabbit hole and all kinds of different topics. But at the end of the day, I enjoy the conversation, and I appreciate you playing devil's advocate on many of them just to give perspective and to help, this is what we need. This is what helps ground us.
Yeah. Yeah, man, open discourse, and that's face to face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think that Mike Tyson was definitely onto something, right? But we don't even allow when he said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Dude, I wonder what that kid's doing that got hit on the plane by him. Wonder what he's doing.
Let's look into that. We'll bring that up next week or next episode. I'm very curious what that guy learned from that experience. That's not a fucking bull I'm willing to provoke, man.
No.
I don't care if he's 60.
Yeah. I would have much rather learned that lesson from anybody else.
Pretty much. I think that Mike Tyson is someone you definitely want to avoid, but some people are dumb, which we already alluded to.
Yeah.
So we need to, even with La Sierra, we need to make some shirts, some La Sierra. Didn't you send me one recently?
Yeah.
We need to make make La Sierra great again, or jacked again, or ripped again, or something.
Yeah. You need to play in that tournament with us this year.
What tournament?
The La Sierra tournament.
There's a golf tournament?
Yeah. It's at Hagen Oaks.
I'm in.
Okay. I'll get us in on that.
Yeah.
It's a fun tournament. The prize jacket is the most hideous thing you've ever seen.
I want it.
It's patchwork like plaid.
I want
it's a whole bunch of different plaid patchwork sewn into a jacket.
But Fawn doesn't understand my love of golf. I mean, she kind of does because she lets me play wherever. Right, I've played so many. I played the Torrey Pines. I played fucking Pebble Beach. I played the Blue Monster. My wife, so she kind of gets it, right? Because she lets me do all this. But the other day she's like, "Are you watching old golf?" I'm like, "Bitch, shut your mouth, fucking." I love this shit.
Are you watching old golf?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Tiger motherfucking Woods.
Yes, I am. Have you seen the 18th at Pebble?
Oh, is this the sinkhole that I just saw?
Did you see that shit?
I saw a little thing of it. Matter of fact, this morning.
It looks like gophers or something.
So, and I have a buddy who's a groundskeeper there. I'm going to ask him what's up now that you mentioned that. We should bring him on the show one day.
Yeah, we should.
I think we'll do that.
Tales from the groundskeeper.
Mike. Good dude. Yeah. Those satisfying videos, bro, if they're cutting the new cup, or if they I don't give a shit what it is. If it comes to golf, see, my wife, she just doesn't. This is my mistress, man. I'm fucking married to the game, baby.
I want to be like, tell me your top 3 flipped cart stories. I want to hear what happens at Pebble Beach.
All right. I'm going to tell you the one that I have, and I think you told me one before, but
it happened recently.
When I
am not past the statute of limitations yet, so I need to tread lightly.
We'll leave that. I'll just tell this one, and then we'll bring on my buddy Mike. We'll close out. But I was in Arkansas, And I was playing on this course where I lived, and this is when I first started playing golf. But this wasn't me. These were these guys that were in front of me. So there's essentially it's kind of like the Sawgrass or whatever, right? It has like a peninsula, an island green. But you have to drive up this fucking hill to go hit your tee shot. Listen, you're talking, it's 110 yards down there. Kind of like maybe like number 7 at Pebble. But instead of it's like an island, right? So, because there's no ocean in Arkansas, obviously. So anyhow, when you come down after you hit your tee shot, you have to use the brakes. Like you have to ride the brakes because it goes so steep and then immediate turn to the right, like hard turn to the right. Like it's a fucking cart path turn to the right, not a fucking road.
Right.
Yeah. So there was no like automatic brake system on this thing where it'd slow you down. Many places have something like that. It's like a safety
it's
feature.
Like a governor.
This did not have one of those.
I hate those carts.
So they went down the fucking. These are old cars.
This is why they have them, though.
This is why they have them.
Yeah.
So this ended up with a guy having a TBI. So they go down the hill at fucking 20 miles an hour, 15, 20, whatever the fuck it was, and turned, flipped, boom, right out of the side, like on the driver's side. That guy's head hit that ground and bounced off, and he's leaking everywhere, like not good. His buddy was pretty jacked up too. I think he broke his wrist because he like flew over him and went all crazy. And their shit went every yard sale. Fucking heads fell off of clubs. Like it was a mess. And I was just starting to like go up the hill when they came down and did this shit. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So I drove up and back down. We called the 911 and I called the pro shop. And I was like, listen, I don't know how I'm going to get this dude from back here. He's like, we have a big well, I was like, well, come get him because he ain't good. Yeah. And that was my cart flipper over story. And it was, I mean, it's funny, but it's also not. Like this dude's life has changed and his brain's all fucked up. But hopefully he's doing better now. I don't know.
Dude, so my uncle knows somebody who was golfing with his wife and he took off in a golf cart and she just like flew out. Don't know why.
Yeah. Like wasn't hanging on. They turned maybe real quick.
Yeah. And hit her head and died. Like on the golf course. Was completely gone just like that.
That's about the only thing that's going to get me to quit playing golf.
Fucking accident. I was driving a golf cart and looking at my phone. Don't text and drive.
Not even on a golf cart?
Yeah. People keep asking me when I tell a story.
But you can drink and drive in a golf cart.
Yeah, they're like, were you hammered? And I was like, no, dude.
I was at the beginning.
Yeah, I was at the fucking beginning. Yeah. And so I was driving and it was a sharp right-hand turn and I took it like I looked up and I took it too soon despite like feeling like I was going to be too late. I took it too soon and I hit this. There's like a fescue right in the apex of the turn and my front wheel hit that fescue is a big ass mound. And before I fucking knew it, dude, I was on my side and I was like feeling all my limbs. I was like, all right, nothing snapped. Like that's good. And so I pop up and I was like looking around and I was like, damn, no one saw.
Who saw me? Yeah.
Perfect. And I turn to my left and there's this guy like 100 yards away from me. He's like, you okay? And I was like, shut the fuck up, dude. I was like, yeah, I'm good.
All good, baby.
And I pushed that cart back up and I just kept it moving. And so my cart, now I was looking for our party. So I'd driven the golf course like 3 fucking times looking for them. Finally found them. So my cart was already on low juice by the time I got to them. So my cart that I flipped is like dead on 18. And I just like, I left it there, grabbed my clubs, put them in the car, walked in the clubhouse, handed them the keys. I was like, yeah, man, died on 18. I don't know what's wrong with it. And like, I was able to get out of there without them being like, hey bro, did you flip that golf cart?
Yeah.
And, but then I realized the next day I left my debit card there.
Oh.
And so I was like, well, I guess I just have to order a new debit card. And I'm never going back. So
I had a problem. I had a problem leaving my debit card down on 6th Street in Austin. Like at least 3 times I would leave it at a bar.
I do it all the time.
And they'll charge you if you, like some places will charge you.
Yeah.
That's why I always flirt with bartenders. Anyways, great show, brother. It's good to see you, man. And till next time.